Shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Let's do some brakes. That's for another video. So I've been driving around with Tahiti's brakes, metal to metal, for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. Unfortunately, after I did the recirculation door, we just got dumped on with snow, and I've been driving this thing around and haven't had a chance to bring it in here to get these taken care of. But today we are going to be installing new pads, new rotors, and these are the same brakes that I am going to be installing in the front when we do finally get to that front caliper upgrade video. But for now, the backs can't wait, so we're going to start back here. But yeah, what I have here is just a set of PowerStop Extreme severe duty truck and tow brakes. For some reason, this thing eats through brakes. I mean, up until this point, the brake system was mostly original. You guys know, just recently I put the new braided hoses on there. We did all the brake lines. I put a new master cylinder. I put new calipers on the back because they were locked up. The sliders weren't moving, and that's the whole reason why I'm here doing brakes, because the right side is pretty much metal to metal on the inside, and the outside has like a good chunk left because the calipers were sticking. And I don't know if it was mostly just the caliper or a combination of the old hoses being collapsed. Now, you didn't think I was gonna call this a performance build without putting a set of fancy schmancy drilled and slotted rotors on. I grabbed carb cleaner instead of brake cleaner. Here we go. Now, these supposedly have a zinc coating on them to prevent them from like rusting like around the edges and on the, you know, the hat area. Usually I try to buy rotors that have this stuff painted, or I'll do it myself, but the reviews seem to be pretty decent for this kit, so I'm just going to assume that this is going to hold up and they're not going to start rusting and look disgusting. And yeah, my backing plates are absolutely shot, but we will be addressing them in the video where we tackle the entire differential. So those are going to stay for now. And these are, they're left and right specific because the slots are supposed to be facing this way. So you want the low side facing towards the front. You can see the label, this is driver's side rear. Oh, that is crunchy. And it fits good though. Now these new pads are carbon fiber ceramic. They're supposed to be low noise, well, low dust according to the box. I don't think the noise is too terrible. They should be pretty quiet if they are a ceramic. Got some nice new hardware. Now I like to come in here and lube the ends of the pads. I don't know if that's just me, but I feel like it just helps them to, you know, slide a little better. Everything's moving nicely. That's not making noise against our cruddy backing plate. And yeah, that is the metal to metal side. I don't even want to touch it because I'm going to probably scratch the rim with metal grip. Oh, man. Oh, yep. Waited just a little too long. Look at that. Ooh. Oops. Outside one's all right. It's starting to separate up here. Ooh, yep. There's your problem. All right, so our brakes are done. I'm gonna go torque down that wheel spacer, get the wheel on, drop her down, take her for a little test drive, and I think the brakes will be good to go. That's just a little bit of a tight fit, huh? All right, so the brakes are done. I've been driving it around for a few days, no weird noises. Let's hop around back and fix that heater core. All right, so what you're looking at here is one of the hoses going to the back heater core. So this has rear heat. These two lines basically come from the engine, and then they just run to this second heater core for the back heat. One comes in, the other one goes back to the engine. And what happened was that it has these quick connect fittings on here, these plastic things that they always break with age. And it just snapped off right there, and I just came in with a vice grip and have been driving it that way ever since. I have the other one pinched off as well, if you can see that. So they're both vice gripped up, and they used to connect right over here to the heater core. So I already came in here and pulled those fittings out. I broke them off of the heater core itself, and these hose ends, what I'm gonna end up doing is just snipping these about maybe halfway where they come off with a hard line coming from the engine. And I'm just gonna join them to a union of another hose, and I'm gonna just clamp it onto the heater core, and I'm hoping that's gonna be enough. Here's that old fitting. You can see it broke off clean right there. And I got these online. One of them should be the correct size to join them to a new piece of hose. And for the hose, I just went to AutoZone and I got any hose that had like a 90 on the end. So I'm probably gonna cut it here. That'll be 190, slip it onto the heater core. The other end has a 90 on it as well. So same thing, I'll cut it down and we'll have a 90 there. And then I'll just cut the hoses in the back there and join them with the unions, some clamps, and hopefully everything fits. I'm really hoping this hose is gonna be the right size because it looks a little bit small for what's on the heater core, but yeah, there's only one way to find out. Right, this seems to be the easiest one. Let's just get back here. Here we go. All right, so the dripping finally stopped, and I managed to get one of the ends on the heater core here. So the heater core itself, it has these lips where the quick connect used to, where's my hand? Quick connect used to clip onto. So I managed to just use a little silicone lube and slip the hose over that lip, and then I clamped it on the other side. So that's not gonna go anywhere. And now all I'm gonna do is cut it right here, and I'll just put that union right there with some hose clamps. That'll be one. As good a spot as any. That's one. Pretty good, not sitting on the frame or anything. Okay, I'm over the lip. Smooth sailing now. Oh yeah, we're up there. Whew. All right, I don't know if you can really see that, but oh, that helps. We are on there. All right, that should be good. Right, that's it, we're all tight. That's not too bad. All right, so here's the finished product. We're all clamped down. I used some zip ties and just spaced everything apart to make sure nothing rubs on anything. We're clear on the frame. This is one nice secure assembly, and we should have rear heat again. Now, I am gonna leave my vice grips in the trunk. And if you own one of these and you haven't had to do this repair yet, I definitely recommend driving around with at least 2 pairs of vice grips because, yeah, this blew when I least expected it. Driving in Jersey, I was nowhere near home, and I just ran into an auto parts store, got a couple of vice grips, some coolant, I crimped it off, filled it up, and everything was good. I was able to avoid a tow. But let's jump up front. Before filling this up, there's one more thing I want to do to hopefully prevent more disaster. And one last thing, here's the part number for that hose that I used. All right, one last thing with the cooling system. I want to replace these front heater core fittings. I had one of these break a while ago when I was doing, I think, the valve cover gaskets, and I just slipped it back onto the fitting with a hose clamp, and it's been holding ever since without a problem. However, what is that? Yeah, however, the other one hasn't been touched, and I'm willing to bet if I just kind of... Oh. All right, that one's a little stronger than I thought. But yeah, basically these are a failure point, just like the back. So I have a couple of replacements. The white one goes on the right, black one goes on the left. They look to be exactly the same, but for some reason there's 2 different part numbers. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, there's a slight difference in where that comes out, but otherwise they seem to be the same size. And I'm just gonna swap both of these out. So this end is gonna go on the heater core. This end goes down and clips onto the hard line that goes to the rear heater core. And then the front is where the heater hose goes. And to replace the actual pieces that snap off that go into the heater hose, I got a couple of new quick connects. I have one. I have one. New quick connect. So that's just gonna clip onto there. This end will get hose clamped onto the heater hose, and that should be it. And hopefully we're gonna have a pretty sturdy cooling system, at least as far as this stuff goes, because these things are crap. Once they get old, they just get so brittle they break right off. So another thing, total, I consider this preventative maintenance on these to definitely change them out. All right. Oh, that was pretty easy. I didn't even need the tool. Wow, that was really easy. I can't believe it. Oh. Yeah, the back ones, I guess just because there was dirt in there. Oof. On the back one that we just repaired, these guys wouldn't go in for anything. So I figured we needed like special pliers to get on here to get them together. Get it on the bottom one first. Nice. Nice. All right, so that's good. All that's left is to cut the old stuff off the heater hoses. We'll clamp the new quick connects on and fill her up. Now with that fixed, there is one more, at least that I know of. Right down here where the heater hose comes off the heater core and goes into the water pump, there's this little Y. I'm gonna leave that for now because you gotta change that whole hose that goes from the overflow tank here. That comes down, goes into that Y, then goes into the water pump. And you can see it's molded into the hose, so I think that's like all one assembly, but I am gonna keep my eye on it. And if I can find it, I'll link it below That way you could just swap it out while you're doing this. All right, so last thing I need to do is fill this thing up, make sure nothing leaks. I don't have coolant here, and I don't want to put this stuff back in because it just has a bunch of grit and just salt in it from pulling those back hoses off. So I'm just gonna run down to the auto parts store to get coolant. Obviously, my ride here doesn't have any coolant, so I can't take it there. So I think I'm gonna have to wake the beast and hope there's not too much salt on the road. Now I don't have any sort of a camera mount, so sorry. All right, well, there's my mount, right on the window. So for my last maintenance trick, I'm going to be replacing Tahiti's axles. Now, you remember how I was bragging about how the original axles were in here for 200,000 miles. They've been doing great. Why change them? Well, they decided to spill all of their grease out of all of their boots. Now, the reason behind this, obviously I lifted the front end, I leveled it around, I think like 2.5 inches. But I think the problem is this thing has been sitting at the same height for like 17 years. The boots that are on there, even though they weren't torn, they're pretty dried out. So now that I lifted the thing up, the angle's different. So I just sit in the same way for all those years. It didn't like the immediate change in angle, and it literally all 4 boots, they're leaking one way or another. There's just grease slung inside the fender. The passenger side got it real bad. It's all over the coilover. And I looked into just getting some replacement boots. In fact, I actually replaced the inner one on this side. That was the first one to go, and then the rest just went. But the inner one, I used like one of those Dorman universal boots. The thing sucks. It doesn't fit right. It's not leaking, but it's kind of like folded over a bit because it's too big. I cut it down because it is adjustable. You can resize it. Didn't do anything. It's still too big. So looking into GM boots, they're like $50, $55 a piece for a boot, a factory boot, and grease, like the whole kit. 4 of them, that's like over 200 bucks worth of boots alone. So I figured, why don't we just give the aftermarket a try? I got a pair for like 170 bucks shipped. Now as I go digging for my axle sockets, Trans Am fans, she's gonna be back real soon. I'm just putting together the parts list for the fuel system. So once I have that all figured out, I'm gonna order the stuff. And then, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to getting back on this car because I'm finally getting the, I guess the motivation to really get this thing off jack stands and get it running and driving. Because I want to potentially use this thing as like a daily driver for a while. And I can't do that without a front suspension, no fuel system, and jack stands underneath. And there it is. So not only does it have a bunch of water in it, and this is the side that I use the Dorman boot, just all the grease is gone. Check out the outside. Wow, that is crunchy. It barely even moves. Okay, let's hope the new ones fare a little better. I'm just gonna assume, you know, lift kit with original axles. They weren't up to the task. Let's hope that the replacements are gonna be able to last a little longer. Wow, okay, it moves a lot easier when the outer portion isn't locked up solid. So just take note of that. All right, that's this side done. I'm gonna go repeat the same thing on the other side, clean a bunch of grease up. All right, so just like that, the Passenger side is finished, and this one went a lot easier than the driver's side. The axle wasn't in too bad a shape, so the outer portion on the driver's side, it was like locked up and binding, and I couldn't get it to kind of go down. This side, it just pretty much fell out without a hitch, and I did go and remove the sway bar link on this side as well. And the reason for that is because where the sway bar link itself is mounted and the shock, there's not enough room in between those to slip the axle through once you take the nut out. But once you get that nut off, get that sway bar link out of the way, take those 6 bolts off that connect the axle to the diff, it just drops right down, slides right out, and it really couldn't be any simpler. But as easy as this was, it's still not going to be as easy as using Squarespace's powerful and beautiful platform to create your website.
With Squarespace, you can connect with your audience and generate revenue through gated, members-only content. You can manage your members, send email communications, and leverage audience insights all in one easy-to-use platform. You could create a community on your Squarespace website. It's going to have a fully integrated commenting system. It's going to support threaded comments, replies, and likes. You can use Squarespace's powerful blogging tools to categorize, share, and schedule your posts as well. In addition to that, you can extend Squarespace's already powerful e-commerce capabilities with Squarespace extensions. These new third-party tools can help you manage inventory, promote products, streamline bookkeeping, reconcile and file sales tax, plus ship items across the globe. On top of that, you can display posts from your social media profiles on your website. So you can automatically push website content to your favorite social media channels so your followers can share it too. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/LsxMatt to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Once again, I just want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring today's video, and I'll see you in a few days.